what do you think has changed in guiding from when you started to today's standards?
Well, I mean, first thing that comes to mind is obviously the fishing has changed. There's not the number of fish we used to have. The ecosystem isn't what it used to be. There are more boats fishing less fish, though we still have a tremendous fishery here, probably one of the most diverse on the planet, in the Keys in South Florida, because you have the Everglades and you have all this. I think one of the biggest things is the etiquette, um, the respect on the water amongst anglers and guides, and whether it's a weekend warrior, a young guide, a veteran guide, somebody in between. In the old days, we didn't have cell phones. We had VHF radios. You had your little cliques, your buddies that you would talk to on a regular basis and share information with. And regardless of your clique, everyone would scan. So whether you're on channel 1 or channel 78 or somewhere in between, you push scan, and when anybody's talking, as that radio scans past, it stops for a minute and listens. And guys learned what clicks were on which channels, and you could scan just those channels. So you could narrow it down to 5 or 6 channels. So it was a fun game to come up with code words when you really wanted to tell somebody, hey, I'm in a lot of fish or something, and you didn't want the fleet to hear it. You'd say, I'm at Old Smithfield, which meant, go up 1 channel or go down 2. And you'd constantly have to change that because people would catch on. So that was always a fun game. But because there weren't cell phones, because there weren't 20 different areas people were launching from. You had the Lorelei, Bud and Mary's, Holiday Isle. That's pretty much it. So this town was much smaller. The whole Florida Keys was a much smaller feel. So there was less restaurant. You were encounter everyone around town, not just on the water, more frequently. Mm-hmm. There wasn't thousands of people here those days. So if you were on the water and squeeze somebody, for example, you probably immediately would get somebody on the radio saying, hey, Johnny, Joe, Rob, Dave, whoever, you're cutting me off. It's just 9 mile. It's only 2 boat spot, 3 boat spot. First point of 9 mile. Boats, you can't, a boat can't get, you're cutting me off. So the whole fleet already knew that so-and-so just cut off so-and-so. So then the whole fleet would turn on to that to hear what went down. Nowadays, guys just send you a text. Hey man, you just cut me off. And the guy answers the text. No, I didn't, the fish are moving this way.
There's a bickering.
There's no there's a little bicker amongst typed words.
Right.
And that's the end of it. In those days, you heard about it on the radio, and then you had to see the fucker at the dock. And if you did something bad enough, he was waiting on you at the dock. He was waiting for you. So that's one of the biggest changes. But I think one of the things that young guides, I even see it with veteran guides just because they're tired. They're not willing to go talk to somebody and explain how they just squeezed in and what that's doing to you and the boat ahead of you or the boat behind you.
Well, I feel like in today's standards, there's very few people who would care, even if you did. There's a big entitlement.
There's a big entitlement, and there's this surge of a need for instant gratification. So guys today, guides, I think, are willing to say, I'll just squeeze in here and pick one off and then I'll get out of here. Even though they know it's not the right thing to do. You did that shit in the old days and there were repercussions. Nowadays there aren't repercussions. I get the bad handle of sometimes being a little bit extreme, and harsh. And it's not that I'm a hard ass. I'm trying to hold on to the traditions and keep this fishery the way it was. And that's so important because there are lakes that, let's say, are a 3-boat spot. And you get a big flow of fish in there, and a guy squeezes in where there's already 3 boats there, and a guy squeezes in and makes it a 4-boat spot. The 10 boats that drive by that spot and look over, whether they're weekend warriors or whether they're younger guides, they'll go, hey, I thought that was a 3-boat spot, but I guess it's okay that it's a 4-boat spot. It's okay because that's so and so and so and so and so and so there. So you just taught somebody bad etiquette. And 3-boat spots nowadays have become 6 and 7-boat spots. Spots on the ocean when you should be 350 yards apart, now guys are 100 yards apart.
Yeah.
You're not giving the fish time after they bounce off and get fished by one boat. You're not giving them time to regroup, settle down, and get back in their normal path for the next boat below you. It's also a common thing, you're on a place and you're poling this direction. Let's say you're poling west and you're looking for fish coming at you. It's rare these days that a young guide comes and gets behind you. They may give you space, but they get ahead of you. In the old days, we never got ahead. We would stop way offshore of somebody and analyze which direction they were going. Kind of feel out what that guy's doing.
Yeah.
Okay, he's basically pulling down that bank to the west. I'll fall in behind him. I'll give him space. That allows me an opportunity to have the fish settle down after he fishes them. Guys don't take the time to do that anymore because there's this instant gratification thing. But the worst thing is, from veteran guides, intermediate guides, young guides, is when you get cut off, they don't go talk to the person and explain to them. Because like I said, by allowing 3 boats squeezing in when there's already 3 boats at a 3-boat spot, now you have 6, you're teaching everybody that drives by that that's okay to do that. And that can change the fishery, period. And the whole reason it is one, instant gratification, and there's no repercussions. I'm still old school. I talk to guys, and I always enter the conversation that maybe they didn't know. And it's up to them how the conversation goes after that. If they didn't know, then I try to explain to them how I do have a few years under my belt, and I was taught that way, and I always respected that. And that's why, as an out-of-town guide, when I first started here, though I'm a local now, it took a lot of years for me to get that stripe. And it was the way I behaved on the water. I earned respect from the veteran guides that were Islamorada guides and Lower Keys guides and Key Largo guides by behaving well and always showing them respect and giving them the space they needed. And that took me a long way. And for a young guide today, if you act that way, you're going to have veteran guides appreciate that, appreciate you, appreciate how you're fishing, and they're going to share things with you.
Right.
They're going to be a lot more willing to share things and take you under their wing than if you're an asshole. And unfortunately, there's a lot of assholes out there right now.